Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolours. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Hello and welcome back to How to Paint Watercolours with me, Colin. I've just stretched the paper. This is 15 by 11 Winsor & Newton. It's only £90, but I'm giving it a go. And I'm just leaving a thin film of water on, removing any excess off the sides with a flat brush, or any brush you have really, just so long as the hairs will actually just go underneath the sides of the paper to lift the water out to minimise any form of runbacks. So this is straightforward Evergreens, and we'll just create a light spot here. Cobalt blue. This is cobalt blue and manganese violet, pushing some clouds. Not bothered about it coming into the yellow, as purple and yellow. We'll turn a little bit on the grey side, lifting a little bit out. Don't forget this will dry lighter. Just merging it in. Back to the cobalt blue once again, just strengthening up the sky in areas. I'll leave that to rest a minute. Into the land, Evergreens once again, just a little bit stronger. This is a yellowish green, but it's been toned down to manganese violet. I just want to bring this into here as well. Might even just drop a little bit of the sky colour into the path. This is yellowish green without the manganese violet. This is indigo and Evergreens. Take a little bit off as we may be re-wetting this a bit later. Back to my clouds again. Just strengthening one or two areas up here. I'm going to take a kitchen towel and just around these trees, because I want them to stand out a little bit at the top, I'm just going to take out a little bit of paint. Just a little bit on here. Take a little bit out of the cloud, it just adds some more interest. Maybe a few whispers in the cobalt blue, and I'm just doing this very, very gently with there's no pressure. This is a mixture of Evergreens and manganese violet, and I'm just going to pop in some background trees, and it's only the shape that I'm putting in. This is a little slightly stronger mixture of it. Just putting it on the bottom edge and allowing it to creep, and maybe just a stroke or two in here and a stroke or two in the path. We have to leave this now until the shine has disappeared off the paper, and we will lift the tree trunks out at the back. Okay, welcome back. I've left this about 5 minutes and I'm just going to try it, and I'm using a damp flat brush. I'm going to show you. That's a fully wet brush. Remove the water so you have a chiseled edge on your brush, and then we begin just to lift some tree trunk shapes out in the back. Always wiping the brush when you come out all the time. Just create some branches and tree trunks. A bit ghostly. Re-wetting it every now and again and drying the brush completely out so there's no colour in. Hoping that this shows up on the camera. Some people scratch these in with a nail, but I'm looking for some real nice soft edges. Might take you a bit of time, but it will give you some practice. We can carry on with some clean fresh water. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to wet these trees, or this tree line here where these evergreens are, and with the same colour of these trees but the darker mixture, we're just going to give the indication of some fir trees here. Just pull them into the water just like that, just strengthen it up in areas. Evergreens in a manganese violet, but it's just a little bit on the yellow side. help to pull it down. Just a tiny touch of yellow green. This is Aureolin and Indigo. And I just want to pop in a little bit of green, which is the raw umber and French ultramarine, creating a little bit of interest. Just taking a small detail brush, some of the dark Aureolin and manganese violets, just adding one or two little bits of detail, but not much. It's just to allow your eye to tell you that these are evergreens. Your eye will do the rest. And it's a case of one of them things where trees don't always have to be green. They are just stronger than this because this is closer than the background trees here. Just going to wet my brush again. Just encouraging it to come down. And then we're going to allow this to dry off a little bit, and we're going to pull some tree trunks out the same way that we pulled them out here. Okay, that's dried off a little bit, so what we're going to do now, the same as what we did before, very thin chiseled edge, and we're just going to move the brush straight up, little break, straight up. When you see the brush disappear, I'm only wiping it between my fingers and pulling it back into a chiseled edge. Now we're going to leave this to dry off a little bit, and we'll come round to this side here, and with some burnt sienna and a touch of indigo to bring some trunks out for these bushes here. I'm just keeping the painting moving as long as I can. Burnt umber and indigo. And then with a damp brush, which is a fully loaded brush, wipe it on the towel, kitchen towel, and we're just going to fade in the bottom edges, just attaching the roots to the ground, just creating a little shadow under these bushes, softening off all the hard edges. Pushing paint around really now. Now with some clean water once again, I want to wet this area where the next set of background trees are going to be. Once again with the dark Aureolin and manganese violets, and I'm just going to deepen it further with a touch more manganese violet, just making it a little bit stronger. Okay, I think it's dried off enough at the back that we can do this in relative safety without it exploding everywhere. As you can see, this is a stronger mixture, manganese violet, Aureolin. Pulling it into the water. I'm using a dagger brush for this, but you can use a flat brush and you can use a detailed round brush or any brush that you are comfortable using. Then into this once again, I want to drop some of the burnt umber, French ultramarine. Just creates a very bluey green, while also dropping in some light yellow green, indigo and Aureolin. Not dropping it in everywhere, just allowing it to mingle. Soften these out slightly. Taking once again my detail brush, pull one or two tops of the trees out. All helps with the illusion. Okay, and now I think we're going to leave this to dry. Now the background is all dried out, I'm just going to move on to the fir trees, and I'm just going to put the tops in with some manganese violets and Aureolin. Trying to keep it as straight as I can, a bit wibbly wobbly that one. And I think while we're here, we'll pull the top of this one out as well. And then with a weaker mixture of the aureolin and manganese violets, we're going to give it a light side slightly. So I'm just patting, I'm just pulling the fir tree out. In fact, we may make this one a lot bigger, I think. It's a little bit on the small side. Just want to make them different sizes. And I'm just going to leave the tops of these wet for the moment. We will be dropping in some more colours because we want to darken one side off, but we don't want it to spread too far. So you just keep your eye on it while you do this so it doesn't dry out. This is a mixture of indigo, aureolin yellow, just a touch of manganese violets. And pick the side you want to shadow, and I think the light's coming in from this side. So I'm just going to hit the outside edge of this fir tree and just allowing it to slowly drift across on its own. And then we're just going to start to extend this colour down. Same on this one. Same to all three really. Just working quite quickly now. This is indigo and aureolin. Once again, we're just bringing it on this outside edge. Darker and darker as we come down. Same on this one. This is where you can let the colour explode, it doesn't really matter. Whilst that is still wet, we can move on to the next one. Same procedure, and as this will take a little time to bring them all to the same state, finish this and I'll join you in about 10 minutes. Okay, I'll give this about 10 minutes to dry and sink into the paper a bit, and if you find that your paper is drying out as you paint, as I paint along, I clip the pieces when they've started to dry so the paper can't crimple. Just run with a big flat brush, or the biggest brush you've got, some water all the way across the unpainted area. It doesn't matter about going over the washes because you're going to add paint to these. This will keep the bottom half of your picture flat and it will keep it stretched. Now moving on to another indigo and aureolin, but this is a real darky mixture, and I'm just going to add a touch of burnt umber to that. And once again, pick out the side and allow it to drift over, giving a real dark shadow side to your fir trees or your evergreens, depends what part of the world you're in. Allow it to come across at the bottom where it gets darker and in shadow. Same to this one as well. Same to this one. Same to this one. I'm just dropping it in because I don't want it to dry out, so I can just play with it for a short time, but not too much. I want to bring the trees together at the bottom just to link them all up, bringing one or two sharp edges out. Same along the bottom here, just pulling it gently over where I want it to be. I know it's going to spread a little further, and I've just put some burnt umber in for the tree trunks at the moment, burnt umber and indigo, and I want to pull this into the bottom of the tree as well, all wet into wet, just to add a really dark shadow under the trees where it really is thick with branches and foliage. Just brings an extra dark to your painting. Maybe just pull a little bit of dark to the top of your tree. Once again, just pulling the top out. We'll leave that one on now, just put a little tiny bit in here. Just lifting one or two areas of paint out just to add a little bit more interest, shape to your tree, just so it doesn't all look one solid mass. Making a nice soft transition. I think that will do. number 4 round. I'm just going to put the tops of these bushes in with some aureolin and manganese violet, a little darker, popping them in with a round brush, just the areas I want to keep relatively bright maybe. I don't mind it touching the trunks of the trees on this side, it'll all help. See how it helps to merge everything together. And some straight aureolin on the tops. And now for the earthy green colour, which is the aureolin, manganese violet and indigo. Trying to leave some gaps so they don't all get filled in. Same to this side. Just dropping some straight aureolin in on the top, just to brighten it up. That looks like a little bit of cadmium yellow. Mistake, but is it? I don't know. I think we might pop a little bit more of that in. And before we're going to leave this to dry, and then we're going to put in the shadows on the underneath, and then we will then move on to the grass in the foreground. So we need this to dry slightly now for the shine to go off the paper, so that the paper is still receptive to paint, but it has not dried out. Okay, it's dried out quite a bit at the moment. It's still a tiny bit of sheen left on it, but I don't mind that. We'll just see how this goes. And I'm just going to pick areas of interest underneath. Not too much paint on the brush, but I want it fairly dark under the tree. It's the same on this side. Then with some French ultramarine and burnt umber, add some real darks along the bottom. Keeping the underside of the tree where most of the shadow is really dark. Okay, that's enough for that. And they always say landscapes should always have a tiny bit of red somewhere or a colour, so I've got a little figure in the back here. And I'm just going to pull him in with a red jumper. This is cadmium red dark. At the bottom where his legs are, French ultramarine, burnt umber. Just the top of his head, maybe a little dog. A couple of legs out, some ears at the top, a lead, and maybe a stick. Then we can move on to a bigger brush. I'm going to run a little bit of clean water across here. Not everywhere, just in hit and miss patches. And with the earthy green, just bring it across. Indigo aureolin with just a touch of violet, manganese violet. Bit of a stronger colour. Indigo and aureolin. Moving into a mid-green, pulling it in. Then with the damp brush, I'm just going to soften all these edges into the path, just leaving no hard edges really there. Soften out one or two edges here. I'm just adding some of the burnt umber and French ultramarine mix to the light green. And I just want to bring some of the shadow into the grass area. A little stronger under here. Then with your brush, pull the shadow into the grass. Pull the shadow as the light's coming this way. Pull this shadow down. Damp brush, soften this side edge right down. Make it a little bit misty on that side. If I have a hard edge on the side, it will take your eye completely out of the picture. So I'm just going to diffuse it here. Same on this side. Indigo and aureolin once again. Touch of burnt umber in it just to bring it down, make it darker. Sorry about my arm. And adding some of the real dark shadow colour. to the foreground. Soften out once again. Need to re-wet the path area. Okay, the green has dried off somewhat. The paper is still slightly damp, but I want to bring some colour into this path. So I've mixed some cadmium red with the manganese violets and cobalt blue to give me an earthy bricky colour. And I think we'll just bring that in over here, adding some of the violet to it. And with some of that earthy green, I'm just going to pull it up the middle, just a little stronger in places here. And we're just going to soften all these edges in with a damp brush. Hope you can make that out. Soften it all. I just want to drop some green in along here as it moves up the track. Pale out. This is the indigo and aureolin. And I'm just taking some paint out just to ensure that the path is very faded out at the top, and allowing it to be rather dark at the bottom. Indigo and aureolin once again, and I just want to put a couple of dry strokes in, break it up a little bit. Taking a damp brush once again and just softening in some of these edges. Strengthen this up. We will lift some pebbles out shortly. A strong tone of green here as well, just helps to strengthen your picture up. Soften the top line in there. Just lifting out one or two areas just to create a light patch. Just to break that path up a little bit. They always say it's better in threes, so that's 3 birds. And now once again we have to allow this to dry off, and then we can just pull out some pebbles that are running up the track. Okay, I've got a palette knife from my oil painting kit, and I'm just going to scrape out some paint to kind of indicate some pebbles. Okay, I think that will do it. And now you get round to the best bit. This is where you get to sign it, mount it and frame it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please click the like button and please subscribe. All subscribers are welcome, and subscribing is free. So, and if you want to view some other videos that I've made for YouTube, I will leave a link in the description box, and if you can click on that, it will take you straight to them. Okay, thank you very much for watching.